Okay, I'm going to try and do this video in as few takes as possible because in the last video, it took me 90 different voice takes to complete the video. That doesn't mean that I tried 90 different times to do the whole video in one take. It just means that I had 90 different clips. And we're already on our second clip for this video. So as you can see, I feel like my double unders have gotten a lot better recently. I'll start to do them here in a second. I've been trying to work on being more efficient with them. So jumping less high and just being more quick and rhythmic with my hands. Today I was working deadlifts, and yes, I know, deadlifts 3 days in a row. What the heck? And I promise, I didn't mean to do that. It just kind of happened. And thanks to auto regulation, I am fine. My back is fine. And I feel like I could deadlift tomorrow, but I'm definitely not going to. Going into today, my back felt pretty good. I decided to work up to a sumo single and ended up actually hitting an all-time PR for my deadlift, which you'll see later in the video. So in yesterday's video, I was working sumo. Like I said, I was trying to just feel heavier weight with sumo because prior to yesterday, I hadn't really lifted a lot of weight for sumo. And so doing it with more than 225 always just felt super awkward. So being able to lift heavier sumo than conventional is something new to me. And the thing that I changed between my old sumo form and my new sumo form is my toes. In my new sumo form, as you can see, they're pointed out pretty good. As when I do that, I feel like I can get the bar closer to my shins and just be in an overall better position. So here is 315 for a set of 2, working up to that single. So here I am setting up, and I like to bring my hips in, and this moved pretty well. I feel like the bar bent more on this than in my max. Today I was actually lifting with my homie Patrick. We've been lifting together for quite a while. He's actually the one that got me back into lifting. He just pulled 385 for a single conventional. He doesn't like to pull sumo. I'm trying to get him into it, but I think it's something he should invest in. So here is 385 for 1. This was actually breaking my conventional PR, as my conventional PR is 365 as of right now. I'm going to replay that here just because, as you can see, I felt like my back was rounding in this a little bit. It might be where I started, but you'll see when I get up here, I definitely am not satisfied with how the lift went. But looking back on it, I think it went pretty well. So here is my first attempt at 405, and I ended up missing it. But I decided to go for one more try, and it ended up going a lot better. As you'll see right here, I pull as hard as I possibly can, and it moves slowly. And I am actually screaming in this clip. Here's the video with sound. And there's nothing like that feeling of just dropping that weight and taking the belt off, as I was definitely seeing stars. So after deadlifts, I headed over to shoulder press, and I think I did 4 sets of 6 with 35 on each side, and did one more set with 25 on each side of 12. Looking back, I'm actually very thankful that I went through a period in my lifting journey where I was obsessed with Olympic lifting. That's all I wanted to do. I was doing snatches and clean and jerk every day, or some form of it. Now, not only did this help with my mobility, with dorsiflexion and my front rack position, but it also helped with my grip, as I had to learn to do the hook grip, which is how I ended up going for 405 today. And I'm thankful for this because when I use straps, I always have a harder time getting into position, especially with conventional pulling. But when I'm working like a 5x5, I'll typically have to use straps because my grip will give out after the first 1 or 2 sets. So like I mentioned in my last video, I'll typically do a 5x5 or a 5x3 for my deadlift days. And I've been trying to figure out for quite some time now whether it would be more optimal for me to do touch and goes with those, or if I should completely drop the weight and reset between each rep. I definitely think I wouldn't be able to do as much weight if I wasn't doing touch and goes, but it might be more beneficial in the long run if I switch over to resetting every time. So I might just have to experiment and see which one yields more reward. I really like to incorporate this grip into my lat pull downs on some of my back days. And I do this because I really feel my lats isolated and activated in that. So as you'll see here, me and Patrick also work these short grip cable rows, pausing at the full contraction and really focusing on the eccentric portion of the movement. I think we did 5 sets of 12 or 15 around there. I think we switched up the weight in the middle of it. I'm actually really glad that Patrick proposed we try this because I ended up feeling it really good in my rear delts, which is a muscle I have recently had a hard time targeting. But one thing I really need to start focusing on is my diet, as I definitely am not getting all the macros, calories, and protein that I need to be getting in per day. Although I can give a decent excuse for it, as just the other day I found out that I have had a hiatal hernia for the past few years of my life. So if you don't know what that is, basically it's where a portion of my stomach will enter into my esophagus as my lower esophageal sphincter, which is the muscle that closes between my esophagus and my stomach. It tends to relax often due to certain foods, which leaves me susceptible to not only acid reflux, which is something that I've struggled with for years of my life, as well as this hiatal hernia. Now, the reason I would call this a decent excuse is because for the past 4 years, really, most mornings I will wake up and kind of have a nauseous feeling to me, and I'll have a pressure buildup in my stomach, or what I always thought was a pressure. And when I would feel this, eating and drinking would make me nauseous and feel like I was going to throw up. So I would never eat when I feel this. And keep in mind, this is something that I experience every morning. It would last anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. But some mornings I would never have it, and I'd be able to have a fat breakfast. And as it turns out, eating food with my esophagus clogged with my stomach isn't actually a great idea, as there is nowhere for the food to go, leaving it to build up and possibly go into my lungs. So as it turns out, that all that nausea and feelings of wanting to vomit was actually my body's defense against my stomach being in my esophagus, as it could be potentially dangerous. And with that, I was not able to eat for the first 2 to 5 hours of the day, which was a little bit detrimental, and is a little bit detrimental to my potential strength gains. So my doctor gave me a few exercises to help fix this issue. And I'm not allowed to eat chocolate or drink coffee or soda anymore, as those are 3 of the worst things for relaxing your lower esophageal sphincter. So as soon I am able to stop feeling the symptoms of this issue, I am going to start buying and preparing prep meals, as I really want to move forward in this journey. And I think that that is the biggest missing piece right now. So I ended up having to cut this back day a little bit short. I wasn't able to do any good mornings and a couple of my favorite back exercises because I had to go and coach. And for those of you that don't know, my job is teaching kids to flip and to do gymnastics and things like that, as that was something that I've always kind of had a knack for and something that I used to do a lot. And I'm actually really getting back into it, as I really do enjoy twisting and contorting my body in the air and landing on my feet. It's always just something satisfying about that. But power building will remain my main focus, and I will be putting most of my effort and energy into that. And that is actually going to wrap up today's video. I appreciate all of you guys who have stuck till the end. I do apologize for all the background noise, and I am working on getting a microphone so that the audio in these will sound a little bit better.